Fallout New Vegas is arguably the single longest lasting single-player game ever made. While it certainly has its issues, its longevity is undeniable. There are other games like Team Fortress 2 which have managed to maintain a far larger player base for longer, but they're multiplayer, and the community is the primary reason they have remained popular. Or in the case of TF2, the hats as well. New Vegas does not have that going for it. Yet, Mike Burnfire, a medium-sized channel, still gets tens of thousands of views on every video on a 12-year-old game, and Russian Badger's video on it currently has, at the time of writing this script, 16 million views. In fact, Mike Burnfire's most recent video that he uploaded the very same day I'm recording this has just under 3,000 views in 2 hours. Mods have certainly played a big part in this. The modding community around Bethesda games has always been strong, but I think the true reason stems from something else entirely: the protagonist. Now, it might seem a bit odd that I would say the protagonist is the key to the longevity of New Vegas. After all, the courier is a nobody, a mailman who got shot in the head by Benny as part of his plot to overthrow Mr. House. And that's precisely what I think makes the courier such a great protagonist. The courier is whatever you, the player, choose to make them. You can be a straight-cut NCR soldier, a greedy, power-hungry oligarch, a psychopathic mass murderer, and many other things besides. The only limitations are your body and your equipment. I want to take a moment to define what I would consider to be a blank slate protagonist, as I mentioned in the title. In my mind, a true blank slate protagonist is one who has no direct ties to the main story. Fallout 1 and 2 are basically a chosen one story, quite literally in Fallout 1's case. The Lone Wanderer in Fallout 3 is the child of one of the people responsible for the central conflict of the entire game. They are inextricably linked to it. The same applies in the inverse for Fallout 4. The Institute is only able to do what it can do because of Sean. However, the Courier has no connection to the central conflict, the battle for Hoover Dam. Even Benny can be ignored completely. In fact, the footage you are now watching in the background is from a playthrough where I'm doing exactly that. If you do a Legion or NCR playthrough, you don't need the Platinum chip. So you can leave Benny standing at the back of the tops to the end of time. The Courier has no direct tie to the main story. That allows the player to do basically whatever they like. That freedom allows for immense replayability. To be clear, I don't think a blank slate protagonist is the solution for every game. I love the Witcher games, for example, and Geralt is about as far from a blank slate as you could get. However, the blank slate opens up a lot of opportunities for any game developer with the means to make it work. The only reason I think New Vegas was able to make a true blank slate protagonist was because Obsidian had almost all of the technical work done already after Fallout 3. That allowed them to focus heavily on designing the different campaign paths that New Vegas is known for, as well as the side quests and the characters, all of it. A true blank slate requires numerous options for tackling every situation. It should play like a game of Dungeons & Dragons, and Obsidian managed that beautifully. The game introduces you to this concept early on with the Battle of Goodsprings. Firstly, this quest is entirely optional, further leading into the point of having numerous options for every situation. On my first playthrough, I didn't do it until I was on the verge of the second Battle of Hoover Dam. However, most people will do it as their first quest after the tutorial. There are a number of different options for how to respond. You can either join the settlers in defending their homes, or help the objectively evil powder gangers. Even within those two paths, there are options. You can pick and choose who you want to work with you and who you want to either kill or leave out of the fighting completely. I understand this isn't much, tons of games have systems like this. However, the Battle of Goodsprings is essentially a tutorial for New Vegas' faction system. These same mechanics play out on a much larger scale with the events surrounding the dam. Not only are there the four completely different and unique factions, Mr. House, Yes Man, the NCR, and the Legion, but each of these has multiple ways you can go about achieving their objectives. With House and Yes Man, you can choose to either ally yourself with the Vegas families, or kill them off and take power all for yourself. All four paths bring you into conflict with the Khans, the Brotherhood, and the Boomers, and your choice of path here can also affect your relationships with your companions. Veronica obviously isn't very happy about you blowing up her friends and family. This means that there are more options for how you go about the main story than I can even count, allowing you to make all sorts of complex moral decisions to roleplay whatever sort of character you like. The same applies to many of the side quests and all of the DLCs. Now, without this, the protagonist would feel rather empty and unsatisfying to play. The game would still be somewhat enjoyable, but it wouldn't have anywhere near the same staying power. It would be like a pizza without toppings. Not bad, but kind of bland. I acknowledge that making a blank slate protagonist work is incredibly difficult. As I said, the only reason Obsidian was able to make this work for New Vegas was because they had already done the most difficult part of game design by making Fallout 3. They were able to copy the base game mechanics directly, leaving them free to focus all their efforts on the world and characters. However, the additional effort is absolutely worth it. When done right, it adds a level of depth and replayability that you simply cannot get from any other sort of game. Thank you everyone for watching. Let me know what you thought in the comments, if you have any ideas, suggestions, and have a good day.